The reason why you're not making it to the next level in your coaching business is because you haven't found the path to peace and having a peaceful coaching business that allows you to attract more money. Now, I know that can sound kind of hooey, and I'm certainly not one of those people. I'm a very logical thinker about things and implementing the right steps in order to get to the next level. But I'm going to be sharing with you something that has came up in my inner circle when we had a coaching call with some pretty high level people. We were beginning to talk about being at peace in your business and how that allows you to attract more money. And I thought I'd share it here on YouTube and just share what has worked for me. Because right now, the way I came across this and even brought it up into the inner circle is currently in my business, we're having these ceilings that we're hitting. And this always happens in business. If you don't know much about me, I've had many businesses throughout my life, all the way from drop shipping to content agencies to other types of agencies. My last one, I scaled it to $70,000 a month, working with some of the biggest people in the world. And even in that business, I hit a ceiling right around $30K a month. And at the time, I didn't know what really got me to the next level. I always thought it was some sort of tactic that I used. I implemented this system, or I hired one more editor that bought back my time, and I was able to do X, Y, Z and focus. Like, I always thought it was some sort of tactic or system that was missing in my business and getting me to the next level. But I came across a quote the other day, and I'm going to mess it up because I don't entirely forget it because my mind's been kind of going crazy about this concept and this idea, because I truly believe it works, and it has actually worked for me in the past. But really, it's just the quote was centered around being at peace within your business allows you to attract more money. And that got me thinking too, when I was working in my content agency, how did I actually get to $70K a month? How did I actually break past that ceiling? And when I look back, as I was scaling to $70K a month, I remember me not doing too much. I really remember, like, when I hit 40K that day, when I broke past 30K a month, when I hit 40K, I was eating a sandwich on my couch, watching TV, and I fell asleep right after I had my sandwich. And it wasn't really doing much. And I realize now it's because I was at peace where I was in my business. I was trying for so hard for 6 months to try to get past and earn some more money. And I was forcing everything, and I wasn't entirely at peace. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about this concept and how you can grow your peaceful coaching business and the actual steps to do so. I hate when people talk about this mindset, mental stuff, and then don't provide actionable steps that you can do today to get you in that mindset. So I'm going to make sure I provide that to you at the end of this video. Okay, so path to peace in a 50K plus coaching business. Operating from peace isn't just about feeling good. It's about a competitive advantage. And I drew this little graph here. You guys might know this meme, but typically you have an idiot on the left, and then the common person in the middle, and then the person who has 1,000 plus IQ points all the way on the right. And these are the people that end up scaling and hitting their dreams. The person on the right realizes that there's a peaceful way to go about their business. And the person on the left is an idiot and just doesn't realize that everything is peaceful around them and ends up scaling. And the person in the middle is frantic about everything and is unpeaceful, is thinking that they're missing systems, is that they're missing something in their business, and it's causing them to do certain things that don't allow them to scale. So I want to get into this analogy that explains it perfectly. Operating from peace is like planting the tree versus looking for the fruit, foraging for the fruit. Okay, the person on the left here, they plant the seed. The Person on the right, every single day they have to go out, find fruit, go out into the wild, look for it, spend a lot of time, effort, energy doing so, coming over obstacles, whatever it is to find this. And they do that every single day. But the person who plants the tree knows it's going to take time. They know that they're going to have to water it, protect it, and wait. And eventually they will eat for years with less effort. Unlike the person on the right, they never planted the seed. They never nurtured the seed. They never protected it at all. They just every single day foraged for food and made that decision to keep on doing that and spend all these hurdles and finding new fruit every single day. Whereas this person on the left waited. And that right there is the concept of having a peaceful coaching business. Ultimately, what is happening here is it's allowing you to make better decisions. And before I actually get into that, I want to explain who does this actually work for and who does it not work for. I think it could actually work for somebody who's 0 to 10K a month, but you're almost in a different mode. You're more so operating in a different way. You're hunting for your first dollars. Whereas if you're making 15K to 100K a month, anywhere in between, this concept, this idea here will serve you purpose and help you scale a lot further because you're in a different phase within your business. Operating from peace allows you to make better decisions that protect your energy, vision, and your standards. And really it comes down to an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. That's all it really is. When you have an abundance mindset, you are making better decisions. And going back into my agency, that's when the money started coming in. When I initially grew my first agency to 70K, I stopped worrying about my next dollar and I started worrying about protecting my peace. I started worrying about the right things. I wasn't so frantic on making sure I have a sale so I could pay the bills the next day or the next, for the month. I was at ease. And that radiates something, and we'll get into that. But having a scarcity mindset, like the person who's at 0 to 10K a month and they need to make their sale, it causes you to make decisions that aren't necessarily healthy for you, the business, long term. So if I'm operating from a scarcity mindset, I have a fearful mindset at the end of the day. And I start to do things that doesn't help out your business, doesn't help out your coaching business. Like, let's say I end up selling in the wrong person because I'm really fearful that I won't have money for the next month to sustain myself. And this is why 0 to 10K is a little different, because I think you're in that mindset where you got to say yes to everybody and you're scaling horizontally. Whereas if you're at 15 to 30K, 100K a month, you need to start scaling vertically. Saying yes to one particular person, fearful mindset, saying yes to anybody. And that person might not be 100% on board. You kind of convince them to come in. They're not wanting to dedicate their time, energy, and effort to actually seeing results. And that affects you in the long run. All the decisions that you make when you operate from a fearful scarcity mindset ends up affecting what truly needs to happen in the long run, because it's a big circle. This is particularly for coaches. You end up accepting somebody who was super on the fence into your business. All of a sudden, now they're super reliant off of you. You had to give them a guarantee. When you give somebody a guarantee, they are 100% waiting for something bad to happen. They're not willing to take self-accountability for the most part. And it causes you to do everything on your power to keep them in. You probably put them on a payment plan and you got to keep them in. You got to make sure that they are getting serviced properly, that you're doing extra work for them in order to stay on, and so you can recollect that cash. That is a scarcity mindset, and that affects you, your operations, affects you getting a testimonial, because newsflash, that person is most likely going to drop out. You start making bad decisions like that. Whereas going back to my agency, even what I'm doing now, I don't necessarily care about making money in a way, right? And there is a caveat to all of this, but I don't necessarily, actually the real phrase here is, I don't necessarily care about making money from the wrong people or making money right now today, because I am fine. I'm at peace with everything, and I know the exact steps I need to do in order to scale to that next level. And operating from this abundance mindset, a peaceful state, allows me to make decisions. I only want to hop on calls with people who are ready to go. And I can spend all that other time and energy. Like if I get one call out of the month and it's that person that's just ready to go, all of my time and energy before that call wasn't spent hopping on calls with people who are 50-50 or just want to get more information. It was spent building systems to get more people like that on a call. That's the secret sauce. You're not worried about your next dollar. You're worried about now being the magnet. A person of peace attracts the right individuals, which brings in more peace. Imagine if you created a coaching business where everybody came on board for the most part and they're ready to take action. And you ultimately become the magnet here. That's what it's truly about. Now, what this doesn't mean is you don't care if money comes in, because that then does actually lead to fear, right? If you truly actually stop caring about if money comes in, then you start doing things that will cause money not to be in. You start sitting on your couch watching TV all day and not implementing the steps to do so. In my agency, when I scaled to 70K, it wasn't like, I was watching TV, I was relaxed, I was eating sandwiches in the middle of the day that was causing me to be tired, whatever it was. But it didn't mean I stopped doing the necessary things that would bring in more money. I was still always focused on money. I wasn't so focused on acquiring money right then and there that day. And it doesn't mean you're not going to build, which I was just saying. And it doesn't mean if I relax and think about it, money will come in. It will not come for the reasons I was just saying. So when you're in this place of peace, which brings more people into your business, that brings more peace, it really begins to make you the magnet. I always thought that when people told me this, like stop caring about money and more money would come in. I never really understood that because I was always in this scarcity mindset. Like how couldn't I just stop focusing about money and more money will come in? Once again, it doesn't mean stop caring about money, stop building for things that will get you money. It just means stop making decisions on things that won't bring you long-term money and be at peace with that. And that shows in everything that you do. It causes you to be a magnet. With, for example, the content that you create, you have more conviction, you have more certainty in your voice. These very subtle things that I actually truly believe display through content. You're sitting there and you're asking yourself, why is somebody ahead of me? Why is that person bringing in all the leads and I'm doing the exact same thing that they are? It's sometimes these subtle things. It's the conviction in their voice. It's the authenticity that they have. It doesn't feel like they're chasing anybody. They're letting people come towards them. And another really, really good example I like to use with this, because this is what unlocked my mind when I was really, really getting into sales. And the number one determining factor, and I tested this, the number one determining factor if I would get a sale or not, if I hopped on a sales call, was my mindset. If I hopped on that call and I didn't think I could sell this person, or I didn't think they were entirely the right fit and I wasn't sure, and I had mindsets like that, I subconsciously did things to make that come true. I already was thinking in those patterns that caused me to say things subconsciously or lead the conversation subconsciously in a direction to align with my belief. Once again, if I believed I couldn't sell that person in, subconsciously my body would start to operate in a way to align with that belief. And so if you are peaceful and you're not necessarily caring about the next person you bring in, you're more so caring about building the right systems in place. That starts to convey through content and your beliefs, and more individuals start coming in who really want to work with you. So you need to become the magnet. Notice how you operate if you're in a desperation mode. Typically, you're bringing in people who are also completely desperate for the most part. You attract low quality people when you yourself are thinking in a low quality way. If I keep on being like, I need to freaking scale to the next level, I'm doing decisions that cause me to scale to the next level today and not truly making the decisions for the business that I want to build out in the next 3-6 months. And now, how do you actually get into this place of peace? What are the actionable steps to not really necessarily care about your next sale and let the money come to you? Have that energy, have the magnetic pull throughout your content, throughout your systems that you develop that cause individuals to come to you. Number 1 is anchoring towards a long-term vision. Without the clarity in your vision, peace will not be there. Peace comes through clarity. So what you need to do is get clear on what you are building, who you are becoming, and why does this matter? And create a mental picture or vision board around this. And it sets you in to be focused on one singular thing. And you're going to write down your specific goals for the next 12 months to 3 years. And get very, very specific. Because peace comes through clarity. Most people just have things in their brain. And if it's entirely in their brain, it's not super clear. Putting it down, making it physical is always clear. Number 2, this is a really, really good one. You're going to shift your relationship with money. Typically, if you're stuck at this 15 to 30K a month mark, you start spending money on things that are a 15 to 30K a month lifestyle. Money comes in, money goes out. To operate in this place where you're not necessarily worried about the next dollar coming in, you need to cut out any expenses, lifestyle expenses, going out on the weekends, having a fancy dinner, doing, I don't know, whatever you do on a weekend or whatever you do after the week that just doesn't matter. Like, cut all of that out. Really hunker down on your expenses. Bring up your statement from your bank account and see what you spent money on. 90% of the time, you realize you're spending money on dumb stuff. Cut it out. Allows you to create space. Okay, when you build space, that's where peace comes. Because you're not so worried about more dollars coming in because you're making, you're not spending so much money. And then budget out the business. There's a lot of things within your business that you can probably cut out. A lot of software that you just simply don't need. Other random stuff, subscriptions that you have that it always comes out. Cut it out. And then this ultimately creates a situation where you're doing decision making of a winner. A winner would make a decision from the version of themselves already hitting the goals. And they would ask themselves, like, what would I do right now? Would I accept this person into my program? Would I try out this other thing or just keep on focus on building on the thing that I actually truly know that works, that I feel like that works? You wouldn't have this mindset that goes all over the place. So shift the relationship with money, cut out all the expenses, create some space. Then you'll be at peace. You won't be so worried. Okay, number 3, build the system. This is totally reliant off of you building up space in your business, or actually achieving peace first. So these first 2 steps are absolutely crucial before you start building this system. Because the reason why most people can't systemize is because they actually just don't spend time building this system. They're so worried about that next dollar coming in, and that takes away from the time that it takes to build the system. Let's be real here. Building systems takes time, and you have to be at peace with it taking time, with you not necessarily focused on that dollar coming in and going gung-ho on sales, but now you're gung-ho on building out automations, SOPs, whatever it may be that will truly buy your time back in the next month to 2 months, right? And also remove complexity. Most people overcomplicate things in their business. They have crazy offers with crazy guarantees. Keep it as simple as possible. The key for the third step is really just allowing you to build that system, spending time there and finding that peace. Particularly like the way I found peace in client acquisition was our ecosystem. Really, really simple concept where we are bringing in individuals from Instagram, organic, YouTube, and then paid ads, like really, really simple paid ads and really, really simple types of content that puts people in our ecosystem, nurtures until they reach out to me wanting to get into my group coaching program or my one-on-one. That's all it is. It's as simple as that, and we give that to other individuals. So if you want to learn more about that, click the link below. But build a system, spend time, and be peaceful that it's going to take time to do so. It might take a month. It might take 2 months. It might take 3 months. And you need to be okay with that. And if you're at the 15 to 30K month mark, this is what's going to ultimately get you there. And then number 4, you got to protect your energy like your profit margin. It's really, really important. Block off days to build. CEO days where you don't have calls with anybody. Get outside, move, take a mini vacation. Create that. I keep on going back to number 2 because this is the ultimate reason why people aren't at peace is because of money. They think they need to make their next dollar. Sometimes it could be other things and you need to figure that out. But if you create that space, it allows you to take a mini vacation, relax, reorganize, re-energize. That allows you to then build the system that's going to be working the next 2 months that is ultimately going to help you out. And then another one is just get off the phone. Really, really cliche. I'm sure you heard of it, but it truly does help. Getting off the phone gets you away from all the noise and allows you to focus on yourself. And focusing on yourself most of the time brings peace into your life, which then makes you a magnet. Start attracting people. So this is the way, this is the pathway to a peaceful 50K plus coaching business. Ultimately, it's about making long-term decisions, operating from a place of abundance, not necessarily caring about your next dollar, and allowing people to come to you and displaying your energy through content. With that, I'll see you in the next video.